All right, welcome to part two. So let's jump right in, part two of data types. You might be asking, like, why are we spending so much time talking about types of data? Okay, the reason for this is that Excel works in a certain way, and sometimes can be quite frustrating when you don't know what's going on with the program. Why is it doing this? Why is it doing that? So it's very important to understand the different types of data that it's handling and why is it dealing with that data in a certain way. And if you can understand it, it can help you. It can save you some headaches of like, why are things going wrong? Okay, so if you understand it, it can help you a lot. All right, so let's move along here. Maybe I'll increase the size just a little bit more. Okay, and maybe I don't need all this data, so let's just take that and clear all. So getting rid of the formats as well as the data. Okay, so I'm ready to do some new formatting. And I wanted to talk to you about time. Let's start with time. Now, if I start entering time, for example, 12 o'clock, okay, 9 o'clock. Okay. So I left it as general when I was entering that data. I didn't do any formatting, and let's see how Excel deals with that. So like I said, it tries to guess, and what it's come up with is it's given us a custom formatting. Okay, and if you look here, you can see that the data gets turned into the American format, which uses AM and PM, whereas a custom format, Excel is able to figure out that I can use the 24-hour format, and it will leave it like that. Okay, and you can see that the actual data does convert into the American format. Now I can force formatting to be a certain data type, the time data type. So what happens here is if I force it to be the time data type instead of a custom, you can see that it does force it into the American system. Okay, so if you do want to use the 24-hour clock, I would just leave it as custom or leave it as general at the beginning, and Excel will decide to put it into a custom format. So I'll just undo that here, and you can see that like this I am able to work with the 24-hour format. Okay. If I do want to work with the American format, I can put in AM and PM, but be a little bit careful. For example, 9 o'clock PM, 9 o'clock PM with a space, 9 o'clock PM. Okay, so according to what I've told you before, can you guess which one of these three is a valid date? Okay. Now, if you've been listening, which I'm sure you have, you'll probably tell me that this one is a valid date and the others are not. Okay, because the alignment, like I told you before, correct numbers and dates will align to the right. If they align to the left, it means that Excel doesn't understand it's a date or a number, and what it does is it just considers it as text. So these are considered as text. So if you do want to enter time with the AM PM, make sure you put that space in between. Okay, and it doesn't matter if you put it with capital letters or small letters, it will convert it to capital letters correctly. Okay, as you can see, these two are left as text. Okay, so that's time. Let's move on to dates. Okay, so as you can see here, we have two types: short date and long date. A short date is you know, when I take a girl out to dinner and she's only like 4 feet tall. Pause for laughter. Right? Ha ha ha. Very funny. Okay, yeah. Well, I always get the students with that one. They laugh, or at least they humor me and pretend to laugh. Okay. Anyways, so yeah. So what is the short date and long date? Short date is just basically your day, month, year, or month, day, year in the American system. Long date will give us like also the day of the week, like Wednesday, September 4th, something like that. So if I format these, for example, to a long date, right, and I put something like 7-6-2018, you can see that it gives me Friday, July 6th. Okay. I noticed that when you enter a date, you can either use the dash sign or you can use the slash. So doing that with a /2/8/2016, for example. So, oh, geez, what happened? That's not cool. Panic, right? A lot of people, when they see that, they start to panic, saying, oh, something went wrong, something terribly has gone wrong. All that means is that your data is too wide to fit in your cell, and so the only thing to do, or the thing that you do, is just make your column bigger, and that solves that. So don't panic if you see all those hashtags. It's not a big problem. Okay, let's go to the short date. Okay, so let's make column F here, short date. Okay. By the way, if you just enter a date like I did, when I was back here, Excel does figure that out to be a short date. Okay, so if you just enter it like that, it'll automatically format as short date. Or like I just did, I just selected column, made everything short date. Okay. Yeah, just like you saw before, 7-9-2014. Okay, and yeah, so whatever you think is easier to type. If you're using a laptop to get to the slash, you'll have to press like Shift-7 because it's above the 7. So sometimes it's faster to type the dash for a date. So both can work. Okay, and do remember that I said that the American system does use month, day, year. So that would be July 9th. Okay. And notice that if I try to put like day, month, year, like the 23rd of July 2014, you can see that it says it's a date, but it's not. As you can see that it is on the left side. Okay, so be careful with that. You'll have to write 7-23-2018. Okay, and that's valid. So what if you want to use day, month, year? Is that possible? Well, of course, if I bring it up, it must be possible. So let's take that data. Okay, let's highlight the entire column, and I'm going to right click. Okay, so right click and go to Format Cells. Okay. When you go to Format Cells, you can see that I get this window that tells me what type of data I'm working with. Okay, and you can see it's called locale or location, and it's set to US like we said. Now, if I want day, month, year, I can go all the way to Italian or whatever other country uses that system. Right, Italy. Okay, and you can see now that I am able to use day, month, year. Or if I want to, I can even use a format that uses the word, that sort of thing. So let's click OK, and you can see now that it does go into day, month, year. I don't know why it cut off the year. That's not supposed to happen. Format cells. Oh yeah, I chose the first one. Sorry, let's choose that one. Okay, and there you have it, day, month, year. But do notice, which is I find very annoying, that the actual data, remember when I said that there's a difference between what you see and what the actual data is? So the actual data is still in month, day, year, even though what you see is in day, month, year. Okay, so do notice that. And why is that important? Because when I actually enter the date now, I still can't enter it in the order of day, month, year. So if I try to put the 25th of December, for example, 2018, it doesn't work. Okay, so even though you want it to display like that, you can't enter it like that. I'll have to enter it as in December 25th, 2018. And once I enter it in the American way, I hit enter, it will display it in the Italian way. So kind of weird. Perhaps they'll change it in the future, but who knows. Yeah, kind of annoying. But just so you understand, that's what's going on. And I guess you'll just have to kind of figure out how to deal with that. Okay, let's get rid of that. Okay, notice that I'm not able to get the 4-digit year, and also my months are just 1 digit. I would like to have 2-digit, 2-digit, 4-digit. Okay, so let's go back into my custom formatting. So format cells, and you can see that it's actually not available here. I don't have any cases where I have, you know, 2-digit, 2-digit, 4-digit, right? That I suppose is like the closest that I can get. But if I do want something more specific, I'll just go really quickly. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail using custom formats, but you can see that there's all sorts of weird things here. But know that they exist, and in this case, I can just put day/mm/YYY. Okay, and if I click OK, you can see that everything goes into 2-digit, 2-digit, and 4-digit. Okay, so that's custom formatting. If you want to get into that, Google whatever you want. If you can't get a format that you want, you can always Google it and set up your own custom formatting. I think that does it. Let me just pause it and just kind of go over with notes, see if I want to go over anything else. Okay, so that does wrap it up. So just to summarize, be careful of what type of or what version of Excel you're using. If you're using an American version, like downloaded from JCU servers, it's going to be American, and you have to use month, day, year. Whereas opposed to if you're using a computer, maybe an Italian computer that you bought somewhere else and got Microsoft Office from somewhere else, you may be using day, month, year, and also this thing with the comma and the decimal. Okay, so I remember buying a computer here in Italy and installing my own version of Microsoft Office, and it was by default set to use the comma, and so I had to get used to that. If you do want to change that, it is possible. You can actually go into, I believe, your options, and in here somewhere, perhaps in the advanced options, here you go. You can decide. So again, American system by default. The system separators uses the decimal point for the decimal. But if you want, you can change that into a comma, or vice versa. If you bought an Italian computer and it was by default comma, here you can set it to a decimal if you want. Okay. So yeah, understanding how Excel deals with data is very important to minimize your frustration.